While I can't speak for everyone, the recent trailer for the sequel to Breath of the Wild, now known as Tears of the Kingdom, has revived my excitement for the game. Between new footage, getting the name, and being able to officially mark my calendar, there was a lot to get hyped about. Still, one thing on many of our minds is what exactly will the gameplay be like? Surely it will have a plethora of similarities to its immediate predecessor, but equally as assured is the idea of completely new gameplay. I mean, no duh, talk about Captain Obvious here. What we've seen over the past 3 years has been theatrical, vague, and sprinkled with hints of how we will participate in this new adventure. No specific gaming commentary from creators, nor in-game characters. So this leaves a lot to the imagination, but also could give one the feeling of being underwhelmed, that we've not learned hardly anything about the game. In my opinion, we actually have seen a ton of new gameplay mechanics, whether we understand how they'll work or not, and I want to go through all of them in this video. Hey all, I'm the Geek Apprentice and welcome to another Tears of the Kingdom discussion video. If you enjoy videos like these, consider giving it a like and joining the Geekdom by subscribing. So over the past 3 years, we have received 4 trailers all containing new footage. The first at E3 2019, the second a whole 2 years later at E3 2021, then a couple of new clips earlier this year, and finally, the trailer from the recent September Direct. With having this much footage now, I have been rewatching them all over and over again. And while I know many have already dissected the heck out of every little frame, it's still fun to do it for myself and discuss it with you all here in the Geekdom. Some of the bits I'm pointing out could be arguable as far as considering them a new gameplay mechanic. Moreover, I know I'll miss something, probably multiple something, so at the end of the video, be sure to comment what I left out. Beginning with the initial reveal of the sequel, the trailer from 2019 honestly doesn't have any gameplay per se. We get tons of cool little clips of scenes, but I suppose if we are really trying to scrounge, we could argue that seeing Link's hand and arm be overtaken by the green energy that was holding Ganondorf in place is a possibility. We can infer that the green energy will affect his arm heavily and thus our gameplay. Other than that, however, that's it. Now the trailer from 2 years later, that's where we get some good stuff. After a little less than 30 seconds of creepy malice engulfing our screen, with flashes of horror like Link's arm being hurt, Ganondorf rising, and Zelda falling, we are met with a bright screen showing Link free falling. Yes, gameplay involving the sky. The free falling suggests that from the get-go, but of course also the paragliding to skyland formations in the next shot, and traversing those islands on foot in the one after that. A bit of a stretch, but the mechanical creature around 37 seconds must be something we fight, right? Whether as an enemy, a trial, or some sort of training, surely we must test our skills against it. Though I suppose it could turn out to be a weird NPC. You never know. Next, we have new-ish enemies. Bokoblins with longer horns, no idea what that implies, speculate as we might, on their camp which is built on a stone talus. That's pretty sweet, and it tells us that the enemies we fought before are about to get much more difficult. Still holding out for new enemies though. Discussing the arm again, but the way this scene portrays Link's new arm reminds me of the Shrine of Resurrection for some reason. The idea that this is something done on purpose, either to heal or help him, or both, especially when you consider the very next shot. Yes, more enemies with longer horns, but the two most notable bits here are the new stasis-like time reversal rune, which many awesome creators have discussed as thoroughly as we can so far, and the fact that this was initiated not by the Sheikah Slate, which is notably still absent, but Link's freaking new arm. That is super cool. Aha! New enemy alert. Underground? In a cave? Whatever the case, we've got a cool new shield with a spinning dragon head and a disturbing tentacle-like thing. I need a thesaurus. Maybe it's this game's version of a Deku Baba? I've definitely heard that suggested somewhere, but I can't for the life of me remember who it was that said it. Whenever I do remember it, I will make sure to credit them though. While I believe there are entirely too many ways to interpret the raindrop, I love how it seamlessly goes into that crazy shot of Link full-on clipping through one of those skyrock islands to its surface, utilizing some green spiral energy that we see on the ground in a later trailer. A new version of fast traveling, maybe? Specifically for the sky? We will know in less than a year. I guess I could technically point out the Torii Gates as well, since most have already mentioned them, but I haven't really done any research into this, so I can't comment on their significance in Japanese culture. But I know many have theorized them to be some sort of portal. To where? Could be other sky islands, the sacred realm, dungeons or trials, the list goes on. But personally, I'm leaning more towards the side of it being a way to transport us from one sky island to the other, or a trial. With the launch timing update trailer, there's not much to cover as only 2 minor clips were new. While of course we can't figure out specifics, we can garner that there's something wrong with the Master Sword that we will be working to fix. Perhaps that golden glowing orb is part of it. Something Triforce related? Or possibly even something dreadful like what I suggest in this video. With our most recent trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, I'm sure we can all agree that the first almost 50 seconds is more or less referring to some lore we will receive via cutscenes. I mean, perhaps one could argue the gameplay mechanic here is discovering some hidden truth about Hyrule, or even a different kingdom, as some have suggested. The kingdom part of Tears of the Kingdom doesn't necessarily have to refer to Hyrule, but it probably does, right? So let's move on. A bit of a stretch, but when Link opens those giant doors, dawning the 2 dragons facing each other, it could be thought that this is gameplay related in that it could be the end of a dungeon. We then see one of these Torii Gates again I touched on earlier. There are several of these throughout the trailers, so their importance is quite curious. I'm not the first and I won't be the last to point this out, but those little tubes or vials on Link's belt instead of the Sheikah Slate, what are they? We don't know yet, but my guess is it's either related to giving energy to his new arm, or it's something we collect at the end of a dungeon. Later on, we see another use of this new stasis-like rune, taking a chunk of land back upwards as a way of getting around Hyrule now that it is so far expanded vertically instead of just horizontally. Also at this point, I saw creator Zeltic point out a cave in the background, a cave that wasn't there in Breath of the Wild. This would explain how we get under the castle, where we fight that tentacle thing, and how we access all these areas with supposedly Zonai markings and lore. Even if none of that is true, there's still a cave, hence new places to explore. Next, we have not just clouds, but storm clouds filled with lightning and covering either a cluster of sky islands or one giant one. Perhaps there are items we need to equip or tasks we need to complete in order to get through those. I can't believe I missed this. Actually, I totally can. But there's this new creature flying through the shot with the new rune and storm clouds. Some suggest it could be kind of like the Helmrock King from the Wind Waker, or like the Phoenix from Skyward Sword, or like a Kargorok from Twilight Princess. Either way, I don't recall seeing something like this in Breath of the Wild. Hence, new enemy. I don't really have any comments about this shot as I don't think it portrays anything we can note. That said, I was watching a video by creator Hyrule Gamer and he mentioned that some have suggested that this is the root of the Great Deku Tree. Since we haven't seen the Great Deku Tree in any footage, maybe he was uprooted like the castle. I'll put a link to that video in the description. Same with any other videos I mention here. I feel like there are oodles of things I could say about this, but I think I'd be stretching quite a bit. So let's look at the obvious. What is that? Was it built by the Zonai? The Sheikah? I don't know, but it's cool and I love it. A new way to traverse the air without the paraglider, thus giving us the chance for maybe more in-air combat. Finally, we have this swirl at the bottom of the screen I mentioned earlier. It looks like this is potentially a fast travel point to get to the sky rocks and clip through them. There have been plenty of green energy swirls shown in a myriad of ways, so it doesn't mean they are all connected to the same exact mechanic, just related at their core. So that's the list. Thank you all for watching, and please let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are on these little snippets of gameplay that we have received over the past 3 years, and if there's anything you believe I missed. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like and joining the Geekdom by subscribing. Feel free to join any one of my live streams. They're on Thursdays and Fridays at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I think they're pretty fun. And if there's ever a change to the stream for that week, I'll let y'all know in the community tab. Massive thank you to all channel members and patrons, especially Joking Batman, Lorulian Sheep, McToppler, and Geek Mom. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.